Yeah, go ahead.
All right, it is 3 o'clock. We are recording, so yes, it's 3 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. The chair notes that there is a quorum present. I am here as well as both Commissioner Shannon and Commissioner Watkins. Excuse me, my little notice is popping up to say I have a meeting. 2.0 is additions and revisions to the agenda. Did you guys have anything? Nope.
I do not.
Okay. Then we'll move on to correspondence and public comment. I'm going to start actually with correspondence first, just so I don't miss it. But in your packet, commissioners, was a letter from the Condon Community Food Pantry. It's their annual report on how the funds that the county provides to them were utilized. So for folks who would like to see that, that's part of the court packet, which is online on the website. So that will be noted for the record. And then we'll move into public comment. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time. Speakers are asked to sign in via chat on the Zoom. Wait to be recognized by the chair. Give your name and address and limit comments to 3 minutes. If you're here on your phone, it's *6 to unmute yourself. And so far, April is the one and only person who has raised her hand. So I'll turn it over to her, and then anybody else who missed putting your name in the chat, please do so while April is giving her public comment. April, go ahead.
Turning on my video. I don't know if I should have saved my comments for next meeting, but I'm probably not going to make a lot of friends after this, but I'm all right doing that as well. So everybody can hear me. Okay, so I would like to address the county court and citizens of Gilliam County. If I were a new company or family researching a place to move, I would not pick Gilliam County after reading social media or watching our county court meetings. No one communicates and each side is right, no matter who gets hurt. Everyone needs to think about the consequences of their actions and how they're viewed by others. I've been appointed and elected to 4 different boards in our communities, and I've worked for the county for 23 years. I've seen elected officials come and go. I have listened and observed. I like to make decisions and gain knowledge on facts. Every time an elected official comes into office, there is fear of change, and Gilliam County has had a lot of change in the past 5 years. It seems to me that a lot of the arguing going on right now is based in fear of the unknown on both sides. Because we do have 2 sides right now. Nobody can deny that, I don't think. Fear of the power that elected officials have. There's a lot of mudslinging, name-calling, rumors, and assumptions. I have both sides sat down to talk. Has anyone humbled themselves enough to take a breath and walk into a room to face their fears? It seems that every side wants it their way and there's no compromise. Some people do not want change at all, and want to keep everything the same. I personally do not know if keeping things the same will resolve anything. Others would like to completely change the structure of local government without a vote of the people. Why are we not communicating without name-calling and derogatory comments? An example of a compromise would be amending the order that was passed to keep probate, but still send juvenile court to the 7th Judicial District. Another example of compromise is citizens bringing solutions to the county court in a positive, non-confrontational manner, so the court could actually listen without being put on the defensive. No one from either side is going to listen if words and decisions are shoved down their throats. How many sleepless nights or tears have been shed in the past month and a half? We are friends and family in this county, and I am disappointed how people are treating one another. It has been stated that the judge position holds too much power. The way it is structured in the past 5 years, I believe that to be true. There has been so much fear put into employees because they're afraid to lose their jobs. Now, how can you say, well, if you just do your job, you have nothing to worry about? But that is ignoring the issue, because the employees on the county court side, again, there's 2 sides, have the same fear that the possible new elected officials will change their structure and fire them just because they worked for the county court. Some might say that this is ridiculous, but it's not, because it's still people's feelings. And I know that we're supposed to go by facts, not feelings, but it is true. This is the way that people are feeling. And no one is secure in war. And this has been an all-out war. So who ends up being the casualties? So elected officials should have the ability to manage their own offices, employees without huge interference from county court unless they are going against policy or asking for budget changes. That being said, employees should also respect that and quit pointing fingers at other employees and commenting, well, they got something that I didn't get. You can always apply for another job with a different elected official when a position comes open. The backbiting only causes strife and hard feelings. Your elected officials is your elected official is your boss, and they should be working hard for their employees. And in turn, it is our job as employees to make our boss's job easier. That brings up another conversation. Elected officials need supervisory training. Citizens should ask that to be a requirement when you take office. Hold all elected officials to a higher standard. In 23 years, I remember one training organized under Laura Pryor. Bringing this to a close, County Court is moving forward to hire a new county manager. Okay, from my 10 years experience on the school board and working with George Murdoch's company to hire a school superintendent, my suggestion is to let the public meet the candidates in a casual forum, let the employees meet and greet the candidates, and make your decisions based on input from all. You would still have an interview process with the board that is there and the people that are going to be on that. I'm one of them. I was elected from the from the union side, but having, there might be some people in our community that see things that we don't all see during that interview period. So the longer we're with those candidates, I think the better. I said that. And so anyway, it's going to take a person with great integrity, big shoulders, and confidence in their management skills to take on this whole mess. Leave Gilliam County with a judge and 2 commissioners. Amend the order. If a group wants to look at changing legislation in the future, then so be it. But follow by the law and keep probate in the county. I would like to see my county judge and commissioners lobbying for the constituents in Salem. I know that they're doing that. Shaking the hand of someone and seeing their face is different than seeing them on Zoom. There's opportunity and knowledge we are missing every time we do not have a representative in Salem. I would also like to see the people running for office talking to employees and all elected officials of the county. Slow the fear of the unknown and be upfront as possible. Stop the rumor mill and get the facts. Be open and humble. To my fellow employees, I challenge you to meet with the people running for office and the other elected officials with ideas, not complaints. Come forward with solutions because we are the ones in the trenches. County Court, slow down and give everyone a chance to swallow changes. But last but not least, this is on a personal note. I've had a family feud with my brother in the past. We have both come close to death and have chosen to move forward and have an absolute blast with each other. We may not agree on each other's decisions, but we respect our relationship enough to not fight. If I can do it, so can others. We are friends and neighbors who can join together, move forward, and do amazing things, and we have in the past. Kindness goes a long way. I can disagree with you and may not like your actions, but I will be there to help you in a time of crisis. Thank you for giving me that time.
Thanks, April. And then I also see that Lynn Ball wishes to speak. Is that through your account, Chris?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
Okay, well, what I have to say kind of dovetails in with April's. Today, I would like to ask the court to take the opportunity to tell the people of Gilliam County exactly what their agenda is and why it's so important for us. We would like you to take our questions, give back honest answers. I'm sure the court would enjoy an opportunity to explain to the citizens why your agenda is so important. We ask that you hold 2 evening town hall meetings, one in Arlington and one in Condon. I ask this in the hope we can clear away the divisive cloud that is forming over our county. In closing, I would ask your immediate attention to this matter at today's meeting under 6.0 new business, and would like to see at least one town hall meeting prior to your county court meeting on February 7, 2024. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to provide public comments? Again, for folks who are dialing in on your phone, it is *6 to unmute yourself. If you're here on the Zoom platform, the lower left-hand side of your screen is the mute button. I'll just give folks just a second to make sure that nobody missed that opportunity. I do not see any hands being raised, so let's go ahead and move into the agenda itself. We are on 4.0, which is the consent agenda. Commissioners, did you have any questions? I think we discussed both of these during the 17th, the meeting on the 17th.
Yeah, I've got a quick question about the 4.2, and what there's nothing in there on what the budget impact is, and I know that the department was paying for their previous location, and not sure what I understand that it's going to be similar to what we're paying for the county court meeting or room and the victims advocates room. Don't remember. I think that's around $600 a month or $900 a month. I can't remember.
Yeah, so the lease would be for 900. My understanding from talking with Gary is that we will also still need to be maintaining the lease with the city of Arlington, because there is a there's storage needs that the sheriff's office has that can't be accommodated at the Gronquist building. And so I think for the next 5 months, we're going to need to figure out where to take that money from. And then I would expect when we go to write the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, we would factor that into the sheriff's budget.
So where does it look like that will come from? Do you know?
Good question. I think most likely we have a line item in 101-199 that is for the county court's office. And so we would likely take it out of there. And then if Rachel determines we need to do a supplemental, then we would fix it over a supplemental. Okay. But there's plenty of money in the 101-199 account that will probably go unexpended. So I think there's probably going to be cushion, given that we're talking about really 6 months of rent in a fairly large budget.
All right. Thanks for the clarification.
And
sure.
I pay $750, but my office is a little bit smaller than theirs.
Yeah, it's 900 in the lease. If there's no more questions, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve this consent agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda, which consists of consider approval of Gilliam County Suicide Prevention Policy, Communication and Response Protocol, and consider approval of commercial building lease with Port of Arlington for Sheriff's Office. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move into unfinished business, which is 5.1. I'll ask Nick to join us. This is consider approval of Broadband Technical Assistance Grant Program application submittal. And we have Nick Green with us of Catalyst Public Policy Advisors. Nick, I'll just do high-level overview to bring people up to speed, and then I'm going to turn it over to you if that works for you.
Sounds great.
Okay, so during our last meeting on April 17th, the county court approved an agreement with Nick's company, Catalyst Public Policy Advisors, for assistance completing the Broadband Technical Assistance Program grant application. This is a Business Oregon grant that is meant to provide technical assistance funds to local entities working on broadband deployment. And so Nick will kind of walk us through, I think, the high level draft application. I think the important thing to note is the application is February 2nd. So we definitely need a decision by the court today if we intend to apply, because our next court meeting is after the application deadline closes. So hence the special meeting tonight to talk to Nick about this. And commissioners, you received the draft grant application yesterday. And so hopefully you've had time to review it, but I'll have Nick sort of give you the highlights and kind of walk through, and then we can open to questions. Go ahead, Nick.
All right. And if you, Judge, if you want me to pull up the application and you can enable screen sharing, I'll do that, but I'm fine just talking to it as well. Gilliam County has the same challenge that a lot of our rural frontier counties are having, which is you've got really low population density. And so there are a lot of areas that are difficult to serve. And the intent behind the Broadband Technical Assistance Program was to provide funding to counties like yours that would allow you to hire consultants or designers that could help you go a little bit deeper on your network design. You can also use it for business planning, for network operations. And so what I drafted for you was essentially an application to take what you previously contracted with LS Networks to do, which is called a high-level design. It's basically notional segments with some pull data and an opinion of probable cost. And this would allow you to take that one level deeper and actually get to the point where you can do field surveying, on the ground due diligence, and actually come up with a network design that is 80% construction drawing ready. So that is our target. And under the BTAP application, there are certain areas of the county that are excluded. Your basically southern half of the county is going to be covered under a different program, which is called Enhanced ACAM. And that was competed for and approved by Rally Networks, and they will receive funding and incentives to build out the remainder of the southern portion of the county. So that area is excluded from the scope, as is a small area that was covered under the RDOF grant. So there's a couple of areas that are omitted from the scope of this application. What this will cover is essentially the north half of the county, and it will allow us to look at where your current internet service providers are, where your existing conduit is, fiber assets you have leased, and how we create a prioritized deployment plan for each segment that will reach the most people and provide the greatest benefit. We can include terrestrial fixed wireless in addition to fiber, but ultimately the goal is fiber. So these construction drawings that we would create under the BTAP grant, if it's funded, would enable you to apply as a construction-ready county for several programs that are coming down the pike. There's ARPA funding through the Broadband Deployment Program. There's a program called BEAD, and there's a digital equity program. All of these are going to require you to show that you're ready to go into construction. And so the BTAP application that we have drafted for you will take you from where you're at today to those construction drawings that are 80% complete. We'll initiate your permitting process. And as we go through that and do the environmental due diligence, we will also coordinate with your existing internet service providers so that we have a way to operate the network if you receive funding to build it. And so we'll look at different operating models, public-private, fully private, fully public, and evaluate those in concert with your internet service providers. Really, the objective of this application is to get you that $150,000 to do the technical assistance. There is no match required. So we will leverage the past performance that you've already paid for. And if you're successful and you're awarded the grant, then you'll be able to either hire a company or extend the agreement you have with LS Networks through an addendum and allow them to continue to go to that next level. So that's a high-level overview. There's a lot of content that goes into the application that you've seen at the draft of. We've got several maps. You score very high on the social vulnerability, and you are 100% covered as a rural county for digital equity. So you will capture all of the points associated with the disadvantaged county, in addition to being well prepared based on your prior work to move forward. I think you've got a high probability of winning on this application.
Thank
So I just
you.
said a lot of words there. I'll go ahead and turn it back to you, Judge.
Yeah, One thing I wanted to note, commissioners, so you will note the application anticipates that we would be partnering with Ellis Networks for this next phase. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, they, as you guys remember, did the original feasibility study. So they're up to speed on the project scope, all of those kinds of things. Two, having the team in place prior to submitting the BTAP application, I think shows that we have the team. I think the state's looking to make sure that if we are awarded the grant, that we've got the team in place to be timely and actually moving forward on the project objectives. And then the third thing is that we did the formal procurement process back in 2021. When we did that, our procurement attorneys specifically wrote it in a way so that if we wanted to, we could transition from the first phase, which was already completed, into this next phase, which is what's being proposed, without having to go back and do a formal bid process, which frankly is, it's a lengthy, very technical process that could be done, but I'm not sure, based on the time and resources it would take us to do that, as well as likely applicants, that we would have an end result that would be much different than what we came up with in the original procurement. And so for all of those reasons, that's what we're looking or suggesting. And then in addition to that, I also talked to Nick about including some time for him to continue this. I mean, it's no secret that I've got a little over 11 months left in office. These funding streams are likely to, therefore, and the project will definitely overlap into the new county judge's term and the new court. And so I want to make sure there's some continuity in terms of staffing, so that the new team, when they come in January, has what they need to be able to make sure that we're still competitive for those big infrastructure dollars. And so I asked Nick to go ahead and write some funding into the grant for him as well to help provide that sort of technical capabilities, staffing to be able to manage this particular project, given how I would say complex and difficult to sort of step in midstream and learn that it will be for the next team that leads Gilliam County. Do you guys have questions for Nick about the application?
I have, and I don't know if it's for Nick or this is going back to my memory, but I thought our original project cost was around 24 million, not 34 million. What changed? When did it change? Did I miss it? I missed an email. I'm not sure what that $10 million difference is. Do you?
Yeah, so originally when Eric presented to us, about a year ago now, I think, because I think Leah had just joined the court maybe when he presented, he was giving basically those cost estimates based on that. We later went back to him a couple months ago actually and asked for an updated cost estimate, and that is literally the difference in materials that has occurred over the last year, Pat.
Okay, and that didn't come before the court. That's not like I missed it, is it? I don't remember hearing that number before.
No, he was basically turning in, he gave, sorry. I was going to say he had basically given his presentation, and then Delaney was following up a couple of months later to ask for the actual work product, the documents. And so when he sent them over, he actually, just as a courtesy, gave us an updated cost estimate because several months had elapsed. And so that is the difference in materials and labor that has occurred over that year period. So, but you did not miss anything.
Okay. And then that 34 million is based on the whole county project, not just what we're going to be able to do now based on the other part going to Raleigh, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, so go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think you're gonna be right around 14 to 15 million for the scope of the BTAP. That's what you would be looking to apply for.
Thank you much.
So I have a question about that little purple area that's over there by 8 Mile, just be east of Condon. Is that going to be, is there nobody in that area, or is that going to be no man's land? From just looking at the map. Do you see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of options for that. One is so Raleigh could look at that, even though it's not technically covered under the EACAM program, as an adjacent service provider and see if it's reachable. The other option is Morrow County is going through the same technical assistance process that you are. And so it's possible they could extend some of the networks that they're building out to reach that lower piece. So we will look at that since it's not excluded from the scope. But that'll take some negotiation and discussion with your ISPs to figure out what's the best way to reach that area.
Yeah, and we're not even sure there's anything really there, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there are households there or not. We would have to double check that.
That kind of brings up one other request I had, just so I knew what's already committed and what we'll be working on. If there's a map that could be blown up that we could actually dial in on residents. So when residents ask where we're at with broadband, we could say it was either going under one project or the other. Is there a way to get a map that would show we could, like Google Maps, zero in on to see where we're actually at on the division line?
So Raleigh and Nick may be able to do this as well, but Raleigh provided us with their map. And I think most likely if Nick can't do it in-house, I think the assessor's office could probably, with our GIS consultant, maybe do an overlay of the map, of the assessor's maps. But I'll have to check into that with Chet a little bit more.
That would be helpful, I think, going forward.
Other questions? I was going to say, the other thing I wanted to note, commissioners, is I have extended an invitation to Raleigh to come talk to us. I think right now it's tentatively going to be the first meeting in March to share what they are planning with their current funds. That'll also give folks, if you are in South County and interested in hearing, I encourage you to tune into that particular one. That is not a county project, that's a Raleigh Networks project. So we're just basically going to be gathering information, but I think they've also sort of extended or shared that they may be interested in talking to us about some of the other parts that are not in that service area and being able to be a partner in reaching those. So to your point, Leah, about the purple shaded areas, they may be looking at those already.
Perfect.
Any further questions for Nick?
Now I move to approve resolution number R 2024-02 as presented.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number R 2024-02 as presented. Is there further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Nick, let's get it wrapped up and submitted. Thank
We'll
you
do
so
so.
much for your help with this. I told Nick after I looked at the application, there is no way that I could have done that on my own. So I am very appreciative for you on literally a week's notice turning around the application for us.
I love your county, so I was very happy to help. Happy to do it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, commissioners, moving on to the last agenda item for the day. Let me just get my agenda up here. close current tab, 1 second. And that is discussion and possible action regarding emergency assistance request. So as you recall, during the last meeting, we got a heads up from Commissioner Shannon, and I think from April, that we might be getting a request from Arlington Help and from the Conan Community Food Pantry regarding some funds to help assist residents who've been impacted, specifically with frozen pipes and things like that in this latest winter storm weather. Since that meeting, we actually received the formal requests from both. And so those were in your packet that I sent to you, I think, on Monday. And just for context sake, so if folks are not aware of this, the county has memorandums of understanding with both entities where we provide $10,000 annually to help support food insecurity and also energy assistance programs. And then in Arlington in particular, some assistance for stranded motorists and things like that. So I think what we'll do is Kalana or Carrie, do you guys have a preference? Maybe we'll just start with Arlington because it's first in the alphabet. And Carrie, can you maybe walk us through the request, kind of what you're seeing and what you're hoping what your request is? And let me just make sure I've got you unmuted. You might have to do it, Carrie. It's in the lower left-hand side of your screen.
Unmute.
There we go. Take it away.
Okay. Well, April approached me and I have been seeing increased need. So this weather has been extremely hard on individuals. Right now, I know of 6 people with water problems, broken pipes, lack of water, frozen toilet. There's 4 people with electrical problems. Actually, one has been since not this October, but last October. They have 3 children, and the mom has tried a couple times to try to fix it herself, and she's saved up and bought a circuit breaker, and nothing seems to work. And then when it got extreme cold, it was really bad. You know, very cold children inside the trailer. So things like that. And I know $10,000 is a lot, but when you really look at it, there's places down there that there's one person also that's been without water since last winter. And it's just difficult. I mean, I'm trying not to get emotional. I hate to get emotional because emotion, it doesn't help when you start crying. But I did have an electrician come in. We did get an EDP grant, and that's helped. But that grant is running very low. It was from a wind farm company, and there's just not money to help with some of these issues. As I see it, these homes that are struggling right now, they need insulation on the bottom of their trailers. Some don't have the insulation. Their most of them heat their home with space heaters. And so their outlets are faulty. And they're not allowing the space heaters to work for a period of time. Goodness. And without this one place doesn't have a toilet, it's frozen. And right now they don't have water because the pipes busted yesterday or the day before. So it's just, you know, if funds were allowed, I think for a few of these places we could go in and put pipe, heat tape, pipe insulation, repair the pipes first. If need be, call the electrician in. There is somebody that's been helping the last 2.5, 3 years that is very trustworthy and knowledgeable, and people trust him to go into their homes and assist. And that's been very, very helpful. And so that's basically what's going on. And right now down there it's a swamp. It's just horrible. In the middle group of trailers, it's all the snow has caused very difficult to go through. So I don't know if it's some of the broken pipes or just the weather issues. So yeah. So it'd be nice to just give a handout and help folks. Another problem is I've always found Capco very quick in helping people when they need help. Right now there's somebody that it's taken a while because of the increase of need. And so right now she has a turn-off notice. She contacted them the end of December. She was just approved yesterday. So it's going to take 5 to 8 weeks for Capco, for them to make sure the check processes. And I'm going, okay, by the 29th, she's going to have her heat turned off and she's already cold. It's just things like that. Sometimes when it's local, it's a little easier. So that's what, that's what some of the folks are experiencing here. Yeah.
Carrie, first of all, thank you. And you don't have to apologize for getting emotional about it. You'll make me emotional about it.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. I
just really appreciate I'm sorry, but that really touched me. And I really appreciate the work that you do. So anyway, what I was going to ask is, do you, of the $10,000 that the county has for you for help, do you have any that's sitting there right now? And the reason I ask that is because commissioners, as you'll see, I'm trying to figure out a vehicle to help support both entities' requests. We talked about this a little bit before about whether this should come through a competitive grant. I'm not sure that the barriers to that, because we have rules about what we fund and don't fund, and I'm not sure that there's sufficient funds actually left in the Condon account to meet Condon's request. It seems like the cleanest way to do this would be likely to do just an amendment through of MOUs, just basically saying, yes, we'll fund it. And then once we get those approved, we could then have Rachel cut checks. But obviously the need is an immediate one, and the amendment process, while I would expedite it, would probably not be completed until our February 6th meeting. 6th or 7th. So part of my question, Carrie, is almost if you were able to front that, if you get a commitment from the commissioners and I today, could Arlington help with the $10,000 the county provides? Could you front some of that work? You know, making sure that the family that has the shut off notice on the 29th can get that bill paid kind of thing, and sort of those most immediate needs, knowing that the county's money is coming, you know, shortly, but maybe still be a week or two off.
What I could do, and this seems kind of strange, but right now I have, this just seems strange. Right now, there hasn't been a lot of requests in the energy, because CAFCO's has been there to help, but for some reason right now, things are just being slower. I could borrow from that account, because in Arlington, we're only allowed to go up to $500 a year for need. And so with this new funding, we're asking, I could go above that, so I could borrow from that, and then when I got funding from you guys, I could put it back in. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that was, I just want to make sure that we're not understanding, like, assuming the commissioners are on board, my thought process would be, I'm on board for helping meet this need, but just, even though we're quicker than most other government entities, we still have some processes that we have to do. And so I want to make sure that the community need is being met as quickly as possible, and that we're not holding that up. So commissioners, do you want to talk about this one first before we go over to Condon, and kind of, does that approach sound like the right one, or what are your thoughts on just doing an amendment to the MOU and granting sort of that maybe one time, and then if this looks to be something that's a continuing need, then maybe we need to adjust the MOUs so that maybe there is emergency funding sitting there that can be released more quickly in the future.
And you're really saying amend the MOU, approve it the next meeting, release the funding then? Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, I'm in favor of that if that'll work.
Yeah, and can we include, like you said, Liz, some kind of language in there about emergency funding, so they don't get to this point next year? And Carrie, I just appreciate everything you do too, so just so you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioners, I can definitely ask the attorneys to put in the emergency funds. One clarification I just want to have from you guys is that something, in order to release them, that you would like? What's the mechanism for releasing that? Is that just providing notice to the county that it's needed? Do you want the court to need to officially vote to release those funds, or sort of how do you want to manage that piece of it?
I personally think it's appropriate to go to the court. If we have to do a special meeting, we can.
Okay. I just needed to capture that language in there in the contract. Does that work for you too, Leah?
Yeah, and then meanwhile, she can use her funds she has right now and then backfill with the county's funds later. That's what we're saying, right?
Yeah, so that would be the plan with Arlington and possibly with Condon too, depending on what they say their needs are, is and where they are financially, is Arlington would basically start fronting those costs that you basically, I think what you're hearing from us, Carrie, is you have a funding commitment from us. We just need to get the paperwork in place.
Okay.
And so Arlington Help would go ahead and move forward with helping those residents to address whether it's shut off notices or pipe fixing things actually that have broken. And then when the court reconvenes during our February 7th meeting, I'll have amendments to those MOUs that officially sort of tidy up the paperwork. And as soon as those are in place, then Rachel would be able to cut checks, when shortly after we approve that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So that'll be our approach with Arlington. Let's go over. Thank you so much, Carrie, again.
Guys.
Okay, let's go on to Kalana. Do you want to give us an update on where things stand in Condon, kind of what you're seeing and what the request is?
Well, right now I'm seeing that, number one, I'm thankful that Condon does not seem to be in as bad a position as Arlington. And Carrie, I so am right there with you and just wanting to help the citizens. We do have several families that right now they don't have water because their pipes are either still frozen or they have broken and they can't afford to get the pipes fixed. So we would like to help them get their pipes fixed, and then weatherize them so that we can hopefully prevent this from happening again. Several people in town have purchased new heaters that were needed to keep things warm and thawed out so that they didn't freeze because of the lack of appropriate heating in their home. We're anticipating extremely large power bills, which I believe that we have plenty of funds to pay, to help people with their power bills through our energy assistance with the money still that we have from the county already. It's the people that have had to go and purchase additional heaters, the people that are still out of water because of broken or frozen pipes, and weatherization so that this doesn't happen again. Ron is one of our board members, and he and I and several of the other ones just want to be able to help anybody that is experiencing lack of water because of frozen or broken pipes. If they had to go to the extra expense to try and keep them and their kids warm during the extreme cold that we had, help reimburse them for heaters if they provide us with a receipt for that heater along with a letter of explanation. We aren't going to just blindly give people funds because they say they have a problem. I've told everybody they have to provide me with a letter of explanation and receipts if they've already purchased stuff, and just want to try and alleviate some of the pressure off of the residents of Condon.
And so, Kalana, oops, sorry, I'm getting feedback on your, am I correct in assuming then that you're in a similar position to help where you could front the costs on those?
Yes.
If the county makes a funding commitment? Okay.
I'm good here too.
Okay, so commissioners, it sounds then like we would treat both entities within that same process, basically. So I would bring back MOUs for both. I do have a question. The requests, but the dollar amounts between the two of you guys were a little bit different. And so I just need correct direction from the commissioners on the initial request funding, that we would just request exactly or release exactly what was requested. And then for the emergency funds amount, do you want to set like what's the amount that you would like me to set as the emergency ongoing beyond this initial sort of need, which both entities have sort of identified that number for us? for the ongoing emergency need, what's the magic number that you would like me to put into the amendment?
Well, that's a quick question. I mean, initially, I mean, they normally have been getting by with about 10,000.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say 5,000 just to pull a number, but, what do you think, Leah?
Yeah, I would be good with 5,000 if they think that that would be doable and help if they need it. Otherwise, I mean, we could always maybe have something that we could release funds and then additional funds if needed. I mean, if we had a real disaster. Sometimes winter drags
Yeah,
on and on.
Yeah, and the thing is with those agreements is they can always be amended. So if there's an ongoing need and that funding falls short, I think the court has previously told both organizations that to come back to us, you know, even if the regular $10,000 wasn't covering those intended needs, that we wanted to know and be helpful. So I think maybe we could start at the 5, obviously for this initial request. I'm proposing that we would fund based on their actual requests and their letters, and then the ongoing stuff be left at about at 5,000.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd say too.
Okay. Okay, so we will plan on bringing back amendments. Commissioners, I will likely just stick those on the consent agenda since we've, I think, talked about the details pretty in depth here. Obviously, you can always pull them off if you feel the need when we're in meetings. So thank you guys both, Kalana and Carrie, for raising it. And then obviously for all of the work that you're doing in both communities. I know it's hard work, heartbreaking work, and very appreciated. So thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, so we do not have anything under new business, so we'll move into announcements and next meeting. Next meeting is scheduled for February 7th. That one will be in Condon. Again, as a reminder, the courthouse is under construction, so we will be meeting at the fire hall. They'll have us set up there again this coming month. And Pat, do you have anything you wanted to raise for the good of the order?
Yeah, I would just say in regards to some of the public comment earlier that I'm not against having some greet and meet with applicants as long as it fits within our schedule. I don't want to slow it down. My problem is the next couple of weeks for me, we've got short session going on. I've been in Salem a bunch. I just got back from Salem yesterday. I'm having a bunch of meetings scheduled and I don't really have the room for the next couple of weeks to, in fact, I don't know that I got the mental capacity because all I've done today is this kind of stuff. It's, I've had the whole day on county court. So, you know, if we fit something in between that meeting and, you know, a meet and greet or something, we don't even have applicants yet. So we're out a little bit. And yet I want to expedite it. I don't need to explain myself, I don't think, one more time on where I stand. I've been very clear in all the meetings and I am not, you know, I'm not changing my stance there. That's where I am. And so, you know, the other thing, just feel free to reach out to me and we can have a deeper discussion, anybody that wants to. You know, whether you like or don't like what I've got to say, it's I can at least explain to you where I'm coming from. And then we can talk about in the next meeting maybe what to do for a meet and greet with applicants if we can figure out how to fit that in the schedule. I'm not for slowing the schedule down because we are really struggling right now with where we're at.
Yes. Anything else to add, or we'll go over to Commissioner Watkins? Leah, you got anything?
Yeah, yesterday, Daleen Wilson and Lisa Helms and I got the quarterly report done for the OHA on the public health funds. So she's got that all ready and she'll be scanning it and sending that off to OHA after I go up and sign the one report I missed signing. So, but that's done and is ready to submit. And once she gets that copied, she'll send the court a copy of that report for us to look at. So again, everything's humming along with the public health. So that's good. And it sounds like the transportation department has been busier than ever. So good job, guys. And that's all I got.
Okay. I just want to preview a few things for you guys to expect on the February 7th meeting. First of all, I wanted to let you know that I may need to video conference into that. I assume you guys are both be in Condon, but I will be going to AOC, and then I need to do some meetings in Salem for some early education initiatives that need some advocacy. And so I wanted to just give you that heads up. The agenda right now for February 7th is pretty light. I'll kind of walk through what I am anticipating being on there. And then we can see, you know, how you want to proceed. If one of you wants to conduct the meeting in person and have me just kind of sit there, I'm okay with that too. If that's a little bit easier than me trying to run the meeting remotely. We can sort that out. Anyway, here's what to expect coming up. The company formerly known as Hood River Sand and Gravel, I think they're now called Interstate Rock, maybe. Anyway, they reached out. Their lease of the batch plant just expired at the end of December. And so they are asking for another 1-year renewal. And so I wanted to just preview that. My plan was to put that on consent agenda. It's going to be the same terms that it's been the last 3 times that we renewed it, unless you wanted to charge them more. But I think the court's general sense was that having somebody use the batch plant was better than having nobody use it. And so anyway, I would expect that on the agenda. Obviously, the memorandums of understanding will also be added. Lori, our legal counsel, is working on wrapping up the GROW Gilliam County contract. I wanted to run this by you guys and see if this approach makes sense. You guys had raised, I think, some concerns about making sure that because it's a 3-year contract, that the funds are rolling over from year to year, that we could extend it into a 4th year. And so one of the things I talked to legal counsel about, and I think she's on board, suggested that might be easier, is to just have Kelly Consulting, rather than provide a lump sum at the beginning of the contract, to just have Kelly Consulting bill us for hours. And then that way we're not worrying about trying to recoup money. And then we just put a cap basically in the contract per year of what we're able to spend. And then if there is less, you know, if we don't spend that whole amount in a particular year, then we would just need to adjust our budget basically the next year and allow those funds to roll over, but they would stay in the county's coffers basically until those hours are actually utilized by our nonprofits. And that seemed a lot cleaner to me than trying to manage how many hours had been used out of the amount and trying to recoup the cost or have them cut us a check back if at the end of the program there's still remaining money in the fund. So I wanted to run that by you. I thought that that would probably satisfy your needs, but I wanted to make sure that approach worked. And if so, I'm also planning on probably sticking that on the consent agenda since we've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
am
work for you
fine.
guys?
I'm fine with that approach.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
that works for me too.
Perfect. And then the other things to expect on the agenda, we have had several constituents submit letters of interest for the openings on the compensation committee and also the budget committee. So I am planning on scheduling those for the February 7th meeting. Let me think of what else is on there. We have scheduled to have our auditor come in and do an overview or walk through the 22-23 audit, which was just completed here a couple of months ago. So that's on the agenda. And then the last thing is formally appointing the members of the hiring committee. So I wanted to give you an update on that. Obviously, the court had already decided that Denise Ball would be one of the members. As April noted earlier in the meeting, the union did get back to me this week and nominated her as their union representative to be on the hiring committee. And then I also spoke with Sheriff Betancourt about serving as the elected official sort of seat on the committee. So that gives us 6 members. And so my question for you guys is, for the 7th member, how would you like to go about figuring out who that 7th member should be? There was some feedback.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
go
had
ahead.
I've had a couple of suggestions that I would have to talk to him about, that I might want to talk to, but if you get down to 2 or 3, would we be able to decide in that meeting who that 7th person would be? If we bring names
Okay.
to the meeting.
That works fine. I just wanted to double check and make sure if you guys had names in mind and were actually reaching out to folks, or how you wanted me to handle that. So so if you've got some potential names, that's great.
Okay.
I did reach out to one person that lived in Lone Rock, trying to include that area. He declined, but another person suggested another person from Lone Rock, and so I'm gonna reach out to her and see
Okay.
what she says. But I thought it would be good to include that area, since they
And
are part of Gilliam County.
And I think that's actually great if we could find somebody from Lone Rock, because currently the committee stands at 3 members from Arlington and 3 members from Condon. And so if we had one more from Lone Rock, then that would meet Lynn Ball's suggestion that we try to keep the membership as even as possible between North and South. So
Well, I would support that too, if we can get somebody to serve from there.
great.
But I will still be probably bringing another 1 or 2 in case.
Okay, that works great. I just wanted to make sure there was a process in place. So there will be an agenda item on that for us to formally appoint those folks. And I think that's actually going to be about the gist of the meeting right now. So it should be relatively, I think, straightforward. The committee appointments should be pretty straightforward as well, I think. So that's all I have for that. Let me just see if there's anything else. As I noted, I am going to be spending some time in Salem here in the next couple of weeks for the short session, working primarily on early learning related stuff. I wanted to note that the Frontier Telenet is going to have a board meeting next Tuesday. That is going to be conducted over Zoom, which we often do this time of year, so that we're not all on the road to each other's places. And I think that's the only meeting between now and the next meeting that we meet. So anything else for the good of the order? If not, it is 4:03 and I will adjourn the meeting.